I want the bets from Betting Weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the burn, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Wednesday. Mike Carver along with Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action. Tons of college hoops tonight. We got a little NBA. We got some NHL. We're going to dive into the NFL games for this weekend as well with Chris Macero in a moment. Doug, good to see you here on a Wednesday. And no, I am not over the Miami of Ohio, Kent State overtime game last night after Kent State valiantly came back down 14 at the half, had a 4-point lead with 57 seconds to go, had a 2-point lead with 13 seconds to go, and they just couldn't close the door for me, Doug.
I mean, and you buried the best. They had the ball inbounding. They just had to inbound the ball. They were to get fouled. Although the college announcers said, you got to look for a clean shot here. I'm saying there's no shot to take. You're going to get fouled with 13. That's the pain of some of these lower conference games. But you were right there. I actually picked the right game for a best bet. Who would have thunk it? So it was nice to get a rocking chair win. But we'll get back at it. We'll get our daily double.
Little smash job from Colorado State last night in the first half against Air Force, in the game against Air Force as well. So we got lots of college hoops for tonight that we will get to in a little bit. But let's start today. Of course, it's Wednesday. Last couple of Wednesdays, we've had pro bettor Chris Macero with us. And we're going to keep on riding that because we have the AFC and NFC title games coming up on Sunday. Chris, it is great to see you back here on Betting Weekly Live with me and Doug. And before we get into the two games for this weekend, I guess I have to say, did you take care of everything angle-wise with your Miami tickets on Monday night with Indiana? Did you have everything sorted out in that game?
Well, I mean, thanks for having me on again. I love coming on this Wednesday spot. Let's just say if Miami had scored and won by one, it would have been absolutely perfect. I mean, I was just like, oh, my God, it's going to happen. I had some big teasers with Indiana plus 1.5, plus 2.5. I had a monster one, like a 13-point teaser plus 4.5. I'm like, they're all going to hit. I'm going to hit my ticket. I also was on Miami pretty strong at plus 8.5, plus 9. I even had a plus 10. And I had some money line future parlays with Indiana going forward with some college basketball and some NBA. So it would have been absolutely perfect. I'm not going to complain too much. I wrapped in some bets because I do have the Patriots tickets. So I do have some Denver plus some 6 and plus 5.5. And so I'm going to be okay regardless what happens. But, I mean, it was almost a perfect landing spot. And if you really look at it, if you look at the post-game odds and what should have kind of happened, Doug was just saying I think it was 14% win expectancy for Indiana. I mean, Miami outgained them, more yards per play. They lost the turnover battle. It was all on the plate for Miami. And I heard a stat yesterday that all three of Miami's losses this year all came by ending with a Carson Beck interception. So yeah. I guess it was fitting the way it went out, but it was a great game. I was excited to watch it, and we got our money's worth, so to say.
Yeah, you certainly did. And yes, I remember the Louisville game that ended on an interception very well with Carson Beck earlier this season there. All right, let's get to now Championship Sunday, AFC, NFC title games. We are a step away from Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara, and we'll start with the early game just after 3 o'clock East. As you have mentioned, your Patriots heading out to Denver. Patriots 5-point road favorites here. Obviously, this has moved around quite a bit because we have, Chris, a very unusual situation. We have a quarterback starting for Denver and Jarrett Stidham, who has not started or really thrown a pass in years. Not weeks, not games, years. Very tough to gauge.
Well, according to everyone I've listened to this week, everyone loves Stiddy, and I expect the Patriots to just roll over for Stiddy. And I think Stiddy is actually plus 200 to win the NFL MVP right behind Stafford. I've never heard more glowing praise about someone who doesn't even play, hasn't played an NFL regular season snap, and like you mentioned, in a while, throwing a pass in a while. He has one win in the NFL. I remember there was a game a few years ago when he was backing up Tom Brady. He came in against the Jets. His first pass was a pick six. Brady, calmly walked over to him and told him to get back on the bench, and he finished the game. This is a guy that has, not much of a mobility either. He had one game with the Raiders where he rushed for 80 plus yards, but I mean, most of the games, it's just like 3 rushes for 8 yards, 2 rushes for 6 yards type of situation. And if you look at last week's game, Denver only had 22 rushing attempts, which makes absolutely no sense against a Buffalo team that can't stop the run. But 12 of those rushing attempts were Bo Nix. So the 2 backs only accounted for 10 rushing attempts. Didn't have that much success either. And you know that Sean Payton doesn't like to run the ball. So I'm saying to myself, the Patriots' run defense is really strong. Since Milton Williams has been back and Spillane's been back, they're holding opponents to only 3.4 yards per rush the last 3 games. And last week, it was down to 2.9 yards per rush the last 3 games, and only 2.2 yards per rush last week. Milton Williams and Spillane have been, just a huge change of, the defense is just totally flipped. They've been able to stop the run. So for a team that doesn't like to run the ball as it is, and it has no success against this Patriots run defense, are they going to really let Jarrett Stidham throw the ball 40-plus times? I just don't know what the game plan for success is for the Broncos. I think the game comes down to this. It's all about Drake May taking care of the ball. The pocket's going to collapse. We know the Patriots' offensive line isn't that great, and we know that they're going to be blitzing. The edge rushers are going to be coming like they did last week against the Texans, against Drake May and the Patriots' offensive line. If Drake May can just take the sacks, not turn the ball over, this fumbling situation has become a little bit of an epidemic. He needs to have that as in the forefront of his mind of what they need to do for this game. Because I don't see Denver scoring a lot of points in this game. They're not going to be able to run the ball. I think the Patriots are very opportunistic on the defensive end. They've been pressuring the quarterback more than anyone so far in the playoffs. They've had a bunch of interceptions. I'm very strong on this Patriots defense against this particular opponent. And on the flip side, the Patriots scoring offense has been great. 5th in points per game all year, 28.1. Tied for first in yards per play at 6.0. They're 8-0 on the road this year. The only team that went undefeated in the NFL. 7-1 against the spread. Their only loss was they were favored by 7 versus the Bengals. They won by 6. So I don't think you can run on New England. I think if Drake May takes care of the ball, they should be able to score on this team. Denver's defense, for all the talk that it's a great defense, was very shoddy last week, giving up 5.1 yards per rush. I think Stevenson and Henderson should have a field day against this defense. And if May can protect the ball, I see no reason why the Patriots shouldn't be able to win and cover this game at Mile High.
You mentioned the defense of Denver. That's what I want to talk about. There's been a lot of criticism of this Broncos defense out, sort of a mirage. That's much more bark and reputation than actual bite. What have you sort of noticed with this Denver team back half of the season, something like that?
Well, what I noticed mostly in the most recent games, especially the Green Bay game, the Jacksonville game, and last week versus Buffalo, where they all gave up a bunch of points, is that if you don't get to the quarterback, they blitz a lot. They send the guys. If they don't get to the quarterback immediately, and you have a quarterback with some mobility like Josh Allen, like Drake May, you're going to be able to step up in the pocket, and then they can exploit the weaknesses in the middle of the field, which was all day last week. And I can't believe, that they're going to try to run the ball with James Cook. The holes on those first couple of drives were gaping holes. Buffalo did not punt last week. Buffalo beat themselves. This Denver team needed 5 turnovers to barely escape. And, referees aside, they did seem to get a little bit more of the calls. So 5 turnovers and a little bit benefits of some of the calls to win the game. I think the Patriots are the two-headed monster in the backfield. Are going to be able to run the ball. I'm not so sure that this Denver defense is what it's all cracked up to be. We talked before the show started. Patriots had the weakest schedule. Guess who had the second weakest schedule? Denver. So maybe this defense is beating up on some weaker opponents. I think the Patriots offense, which has been top 5 all year round, yards per play, like I mentioned, 6.0, number 1 in the NFL. They should be able to get some. So I think the Patriots are going to score 27, 28 points in this game. And I don't see any way, unless there's some serious special teams voodoo or a couple of maybe a pick six or a strip sack fumble return for a touchdown by Denver. I just don't see how Denver's offense puts up enough points with Jarrett Stidham and the Patriots' run defense being as strong as it is.
Yeah, I did see in the chat box there at the bottom as you were talking, Chris, somebody bring up that total, thinking that it was a little light at 42, and that you're going to be able to blow through this thing. I don't know if I would go that far, but I do kind of lean to an over. I think you're right about where the Patriots are going to be. I think they're between 27 and 31 in this game. And look, I think we can get the required 17 to 20 from the Broncos on the other side to maybe get over that total.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it easily being like like I said, they're averaging 28.1 points per game for the entire season. I could see them scoring 4 touchdowns, maybe kicking a field goal, 31 points. Maybe it's 38-17. I played an all-team total over on New England, 25.5 plus 130 earlier in the week. I'm probably going to play some more team totals as the week progresses. I just feel like the Patriots' offense has been pretty consistent all year. Granted, they ran into 2 tough defenses so far in the playoffs, and the offensive line needs to step up a little bit. I'm hoping for their sake they help Will Campbell out a little bit. You know, he needed help last week. They need to put an extra tight end or, you know, running back to chip when they come in, because, you know, Danielle Hunter was in the background. It felt like in less than a second. So I still think they're going to put up some points. I don't see Denver scoring more than 17. I really feel like the Patriots are going to cover this game. I'm not trying to go too crazy with the hedges based on my Patriot future tickets, because I really think they're going to get the job done. I just don't see Jarrett Stidham, you know, putting up big numbers, especially when their inability to run the ball. I just really question. I would like to ask Sean Payton, are you going to throw the ball 40 times with Jarrett Stidham? I feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
As the limits go up throughout the week, where does this number close as more sharp money comes into the market?
I think it's almost like the old false move right now with they're betting Denver. They got some, you know, they got the 5.5, they got 6. You know, Monday morning I saw 6 right away, and I snagged a little bit of that in a parlay with Indiana money line. But I just feel like if this number is coming down, it's still 4.5 at several places around town. So if this number gets to 4, you gotta figure some Patriot money comes in. I feel like it could get back to the 6 number. And if you find out that some of these wide receivers for Denver, we haven't got the practice reports today, but if Franklin is 100% out, you know, they're signing guys off the street to play wide receiver. You know, maybe the line pushes up higher. Maybe it goes 6.5. I'm not sure. I don't think it will ever get to 7 because you're going to get some big buyback. But I don't see the Patriots losing this game with the offense they've had all year, playing pretty good defense, and just a lot of backups on this Denver roster. Granted, they have home field. There's a lot of young players playing for the first time in altitude, but I just think the Patriots get the job done.
The second game on Sunday, of course, just after 6:30 East, we get to the NFC side. Round 3 between the Rams and the Seahawks in Seattle. Right now, Bet River Seahawks minus 2.5, 47 flat the total.
Yeah, listen, this is another interesting matchup. We played 2 games this season. Week 11, the Rams won 21-19. Week 16, Seattle won 38-37. So right there, you have the 2 games, 2 very exciting games, both decided by a combined 3 points. So if you can get the Rams plus 3, that's how I'd be leaning. You have to remember the last 3 games that Seattle's played, everyone is high and mighty on Seattle right now, saying they're the best team. You know, they probably are the best team by all the metrics. But let's just say this. They played Carolina since week 16 when they gave up that explosive game to Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, where the Rams put up 581 yards, 6.6 yards of play. Puka Nacua was 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. He should have had the 3rd touchdown. It was ruled out of bounds. So, made a spectacular catch in the back of the end zone. But since then, they played Carolina, where Bryce Young was absolutely atrocious. He was 14 of 24 for, wait for it, 54 yards passing. Then the next week, Purdy was just uncharacteristically terrible. 19 for 27, only 127 yards and interception. And then last week versus San Fran after the bye week, the game was over before it started. They run the kickoff back for a touchdown with Shaheed, and then they go for it. They run it out on downs, and then they fumble the next drive. So before you know it, it's 17-0. The game's done. San Fran can't stop the run. They're getting 5.3 yards a carry on 33 rushes, 175 yards. It's just it was a recipe for disaster with that kickoff return. So I'm just not sure how strong Seattle is. Those 3 games aside, The Rams know deep down that they can move the ball on this team. Putting up that big game just a couple weeks ago, Puka having the massive game, Stafford having the massive game. And for all the accolades that Caleb Williams got last week for the second half, he was erratic. 3 interceptions. I felt like maybe McVay, was holding something back. It was a curious game plan. You figure he should be able to score some points on the Bears. Maybe he just figured, that we'll hold something back and wait for the Seattle game, even though they could have easily lost that game. It's just a weird game for us, the Bears. But I feel like the Rams know deep down that they can move the ball in Seattle. I could see this game being a coin flip game either way. I'm waiting to see if I can get the 3 +3 for the Rams. If you've got to lay -120, -125, I can still see Seattle winning the game, but I don't see Seattle winning by more than 3. And on the total, I know I'm kind of going long-winded here. I like the over in this game. I feel like this game is going to be more like the second game than like the first game. Like I mentioned, I think the Rams know that they can move it on Seattle, and Seattle definitely knows they can move it on the Rams. And my point was, Caleb Williams should have put up a lot more points against this Rams defense. Guys were wide open. He's throwing horrible passes, 3 interceptions. Like I said, they should have scored a lot more points in this game. They left a lot of points on the table by not kicking those field goals early. A lot of people want to argue, you go for it. In the first quarter, in a playoff game like that, not taking the points, I do not understand that at all. It wasn't like it was 4th and 1. It was 4th and 5. I think you can put up points on this Rams defense, as we mentioned last week. So I like over the total in this game. It actually ticked down a half a point today from 47.5 to 47. If you're a teaser player, I'm loving an 8.5 with the Rams and over 41. I feel that's a very strong play. I think this is going to be more of a shootout type of game than the original game, 21-19.
2 things for you. One is this oblique injury for Sam Darnold. Mike Macdonald said he's still going to be limited this week, although he's feeling better, whatever that means, because he looked fine. And then also just the fact that it's 3rd straight playoff road game, for the Rams. Like, that's obviously not ideal. How much does that factor into your handicap?
I would think it would be. I would factor it in more if they weren't playing a division opponent.
Okay.
Familiar with Seattle, they were just up there. They're not scared to go to Seattle. Like I said, they can move the ball. They can put up points against this team. The Darnold injury, Darnold's always the question mark in these. That's the number one question mark for Seattle. If they had anyone else, they'd be bigger favorites. They'd be bigger favorites to win the whole thing. But what has happened to Sam Darnold when he plays the Rams just this year? 6 interceptions, 4 in Week 11, 2 in Week 16, and the one that was like a total crushing blow that we thought ended the dream for the number 1 seed there for Seattle. But they were able to bounce back in probably the best and most exciting game of the year. But the facts is the facts. The guy's got 6 interceptions against the Rams this year, and last year versus the Rams in the playoffs was even a bigger disaster. So this guy has an issue playing the Rams. Seattle's got a great defense. They got a really solid defensive coach. They got 2 good running backs, although one is now out. So Charbonnet's injury might pose a little bit of an issue. Like I said, I'm leaning Rams +3. I'm not sure if they can win the game, but I think this game is definitely going to be a 3-point or less game, very similar to the games we've seen so far this season. If I can get 3 with the Rams, I like it. And like I mentioned, I really do like a tease. Rams up to 8.5 and over 41.
I like it, Chris.
Slider, right? Right, Carver?
Slider. Always got to throw the slider in there. You could slide
Minus
that up to
122.
3. Yeah, I think you said that, Chris, right? You don't mind, I think, if you got to pay minus 120 or so, minus 125 to get that 3, right?
Well, how about this? I mean, I don't need to do it because I have the future tickets on New England, but if you can put 3 of them together, New England money line with Rams up to whatever you want, 8.5. You want to go to 9. I mean, I don't know. 9's not a really – who knows with the key numbers these days, but with the 2-point conversion always coming into play. But if you can get Patriots money line, Rams plus 8.5 and over 41, I really like that play. You're going to get plus money all day on that. I just don't see Seattle blowing out the Rams, and I just don't see New England losing to Denver.
There you go. Chris, tremendous job, as always. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you again soon here on Betting Weekly Live.
All right, thank you, guys. Good luck this weekend as well.
There it is. Pro Bettor.
Dude, how about the 15 cents there, Carver? It's plus 2.5 minus 0.07. If you use the slider, it goes to minus 122 at plus 3. So that's 15 cents for a hook around 3, which is very attractive.
I'll ask you this. I know you asked it to Chris and we got his thoughts. Do you think you'll see a 3 by Sunday?
Well, if we do, it's going to be about minus 120. So we see it now, right? Like that's the thing. I don't think it's going to be flooded the market like we saw that 7 go to 7.5 with the Niners game, because I think it was a different situation, right? The Niners were coming in walking wounded, left a lot on the field, going cross country to Philly, and the Seahawks were off a bye. As we talked about it, our favorite word all last week was mauled. We expected that, but I think this is a great point about the 3, the short travel, the familiar opponent, the fact that they can move the ball on a Seahawks defense that not many people can. So I think those are all really good points and has me coming around a little bit, but I did think we'd get to 3 already by now in the market.
Okay, well, there you go. Seahawks minus 2.5. Of course, we're going to continue talking about this all week here on Betting Weekly Live as we get a little closer to Sunday. Great job by Chris Macero to get us going today. All right, let's get to tonight's action, and we will start in the NBA, where we have 7 games tonight, including an ESPN doubleheader. And how about this, Doug? Giving my Hornets a little viewing on ESPN tonight. Well-deserved. The Cavs are at the Hive, laying 3 here on the road. 236 now. I've actually got this at on the Bet Rivers app. Down to 236 this total. Somebody out.
The Hornets getting a lot of their flowers, if you will. I mean, everyone's loving the Hornets these days. Bridges, Miller, Kneppel, and LaMelo all healthy and in the lineup. So that's the first thing I look at with this Charlotte roster. Now we have them coming home. It's first home game after a 5-game road trip. And that typically induces an under. The problem is this Cleveland team's a little bit all over the place. They're off a bad loss. Now they played the Thunder, but they lost by 32. After back-to-back wins in Philly. I wouldn't want to lay 3 at all, but I just a lean to the Hornets. The Charlotte team's a year away, I think, from making any sort of push to the playoffs and whatnot. These are the games they sort of wet the bed on, and I just don't want to fire on this. So it'd be under or anything. It's such a big number, but I do think that first home game after a long road trip has been pretty battle tested over the years.
And they were good on that road trip too. They won 3 of those 5 games outright out on the West Coast as they come home tonight. I love my Hornets, but I kind of agree. I don't know if I want to dip my toe in here with the Cavs coming in first game back after that long trip. All right.
Kneppel's the only guy you can really rely on in terms of production.
He's been so good.
But again, if I like the under, I'm not running to the window to bet his props on the overs.
Yes. The second game on ESPN tonight, the Thunder are in Milwaukee against the Bucks. I actually was looking at some stuff in the NBA this morning, Doug. I did not realize that the Bucks have been so bad that they are not even in a play-in spot in the East right now. They are 18-24. They are behind Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, all these teams in the play-in right now. Man, that's just got to Giannis must just be a joy to be around right now with all that.
You haven't heard the doc already laying the framework for excuses. Usually that would have kicked in by now, but I guess he's optimistic with Giannis back from injury. I think this Milwaukee team's interesting. They keep just throwing money and potential trades just to do everything to bend over backwards for Giannis. Not that he's even demanding it, but the fact that they ate the salary of Dame to bring in Miles Turner. They've flirted with Ja Morant. We'll see what happens there. I just think they're kind of overmatched. The Thunder, though, just not ideal spot to back them. They're not off a loss or anything like that. The Hartenstein injury's a factor. They're just not the same team. I would look at the Thunder here just because the Bucks are so atrocious defensively, but they could light it up. Maybe a Thunder team total, something like that. I'm just not in a rush to bet this game, but it'd be Thunder or pass if anything.
Thunder 11.5 here tonight in Milwaukee. That's just after 9:30 East. Second game on ESPN after the Cavs and the Hornets. All right, elsewhere tonight. Hawks are in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Right now, I got Grizzlies minus 1.5 at Bet Rivers. 239 and a half is the total. And of course, I went and looked at this, and I'm sure you might have as well. This is the Grizzlies' first game back since being in London/Germany over the weekend. So that's a little unfair. The Magic got an extra day, Doug. They don't play till tomorrow. Grizzlies play tonight at home against the Hawks.
Macero actually got me on to the Hawks. He bet it +3 overnight, and he said that you're not going to need the points here. It makes sense with the travel and everything. I will say, on paper, the Hawks are much better, but the Grizzlies are good as a favorite typically this year versus as an underdog. Right. What that means, I don't know. I mean, because what trumps all of that is the first game home after going to Europe. It's a bizarre situation. You know, we tried to find betting patterns in the NFL, but it's different. These teams haven't done it. They don't do it every year like you do in football. There's no way I'd bet the Grizzlies. And also, those games were really weird, right? The Grizzlies in the first game I think we're up 20 up to the first quarter, lost the game, and then they won the second game. Just kind of strange. 239.5 feels high, but it's a Hawks team. They're dangerous. I've been burned a little bit on Atlanta, but definitely Hawks are pass for me.
Yeah, that Magic game tomorrow is against my Hornets, who are going to play the second night of a back-to-back in Orlando against the Magic. Also tonight, Raptors off a 18-point win at Golden State last night. Now play second night of a back-to-back in Sacramento against the Kings. Raptors right now -5.5, 224.5 the total.
Yeah, I'm going to do it again because they burned me against the Lakers, but I just think this is more anecdotal than anything, but I feel like these teams on these long road trips actually finish strong. It's the middle sort of games that they stink at. So, that like Lakers game was the beginning of the trip, but they had been to Indiana before. So it's almost like a middle of the road trip now. So they took care of business last night. The Kings did not. So at least they're both back to back. I think that performance in LA is going to still be in the back of their minds. I think the Raptors handle their business workmanlike here.
I should say, I know I mentioned the Raptors. The Kings also, Doug, second night of a back-to-back. They played last night as well. Both games at home for them, obviously. They lost by 13 to the Heat in that game last night. All right, let's go next. I want to bring up this Knick-Net game. Obviously, we've talked about the Knicks the other day when they got blasted at home Monday afternoon, late afternoon against the Mavs. Now they get, I guess what you could call a rivalry game. I can tell you here in New York, it ain't much of a rivalry. The Nets cross the river to see the Knicks at the Garden. Now, I guess there's two ways we can look at this, Doug. Are we going to go with the Knicks for a big bounce back as they have been brutal here over this last 5-6 game stretch? Or do we keep going after them and take the Nets, who have been a little spunky with the now 10.5 here on the road?
So obviously I was on the Knicks in the last game. I thought it was a bounce back spot and they were terrible. So the question is, do I chase, I'm okay just taking it on the chin. And if they come back and blow them out, because they're saying all the right things, right? Mike Brown laid the smack down. All the guys on the team are saying the right things. So if they come out and blow them out, it's no surprise. But if I go pot committed again and they don't cover, because you need them to win and cover, then you really are kind of up the creek without a paddle and you're just looking for answers. So yes, they've lost 3 straight. It is a good spot, all that stuff. I'm just going to take the L from the other day against the Mavericks and see what happens here. The Nets are a team you can kind of blow out, and I think the Knicks should be doing it. And again, they're saying all the right things, all that, but I'm just not going to get involved. Maybe something's a little off. It's still Mike Brown. He's not the best coach in the world. So I'm going to let this one go. I'm just going to let this one go and you can't lose what you don't put in the pot kind of thing.
There are some people here in town on the big radio station saying that if they lose tonight to the Nets, they should fire Brown. There are some people that are, there's so the chatter is like, this is, it's a month after winning an NBA Cup. They've been playing awful. They lose to the lowly Nets.
They're going to go hire McDermott? Like, who are they going to get?
Oh, man. Yeah, don't even get me started on that, Doug, having to watch that nonsense for 45 minutes this morning with Pagula.
Maybe Keon Coleman's going to be looking for a job. Maybe they can hire him.
Imagine caring so much about Keon Coleman. Who cares? I mean, enough about Keon Coleman. You think he was Jerry Rice. Can we worry about making the team better? Sorry, I move on. Pacers and Celtics tonight. in Boston. Boston minus, I got this now as of this moment down at 10.5 on Bet Rivers, 225.5 the total.
I would say it's Celtics or pass. Pacers stink. They don't play any defense. They could light it up. Boston off a loss, just played Detroit, right? Indiana is Indiana. No Matherin. I think Boston could really open up a can here, but you just don't know with these big numbers. You really have to play the spot. We're still not even official word on Jaylen Brown. If he's out, we're going defense all the way. The last time they played and no Jaylen Brown was in that game, both teams under 100 points. So keep an eye. I think the Celtics opponent in all 3 games they've played this year without Jaylen Brown, the opponent has gone under their team total. The Celtics have actually lit it up except for that Pacers game. I would say keep an eye on things. If Brown's a go, I would lay it before I took it, but no real reason to get involved.
No real reason indeed tonight. And the only one I haven't gotten to you is Pistons laying the number on the road in Nollins against the Pels. It's 9 at Bet Rivers, 230.5 the total.
Yeah, some moving parts here. Still no Herb Jones. Alvarado is out as well. Zion, questionable. So we're going to have to wait and see. I can't fire here. I would look at the Pistons. I think they can light it up. Jordan Poole's been gunning off the bench. His prop of around 11.5 interests me, but he's only playing 25 minutes, and he's kind of a knucklehead, so not in a rush to kind of watch him play. He's one of the most least enjoyable players to ever watch at the current NBA. So it's Pelicans or pass. I mean, I got to wait on Zion if I'm going to play this game at all.
Kinda was nice. I'll just go ahead and say it. He is a knucklehead, Jordan Poole. He's a knucklehead. There's no question about that. NBA for tonight. Bet Rivers also, don't forget, NBA Wednesday primetime second chance SGP. Log into your Bet Rivers app or betrivers.com. Each Wednesday, you get a second chance same game parlay token to use on either of the primetime NBA games. We told you earlier, Cavs, Hornets, Thunder, Bucks is that for tonight. Of course, you get your wager back if it doesn't hit. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. NBA Wednesday, primetime, second chance, SGP. All right, more hoops, college hoops, and another great slate here tonight. I loved the games last night. I was up late, and I was wrong about one thing also last night, Doug, that we didn't talk about. I said that Cronin only cries when his team is on the East Coast. He does cry after, too. Did you see him still complaining even after beating Purdue last night?
He's a very unpleasant man when it comes to the schedule.
He was. Thanks a lot for giving us 5 of our first 7 on the road. You're giving us Purdue when they have 2 days rest. He was really good, Mick Cronin. Let's get to tonight. Good stuff, fellas, from Henry. The chat box rolling. Heartbreaker in the Carver special. Mizzou unranked favorite at home, loses to Georgia. I'm well aware on that one as well, Henry. But we did have UCLA and a couple of other things. So college hoops was a little bit of a wash. Dougie, good call on UCLA. Cronin was, yes, we just mentioned Henry. Still crying post-game, even in a win. Let's get to tonight. And we'll start in the Big Ten with some of the bigger games. Maryland hits Champaign against Illinois. This is Big Ten Network just after 7 o'clock East. And a very big number, 18.5 for the Illini, 149.5 the total.
Maryland, with all this conference realignment, is actually one of the more tenured teams in the Big Ten because they're not a Pac-12 team. They've been there for a handful of years now. So the big kind of storyline in this game, Kylan Boswell is going to miss some time for the Illini. That's a significant impact for sure. The line feels high. Maryland's not very good. But I always feel like middle of the season, unless you have a reason to lay a monster number, kind of like we did with Iowa State last night off a loss, or in that case, off 2 losses, there's no real reason to lay it with the Illini. Now, I'm not running to the window to bet Maryland either. I'd keep an eye on the under here. Now, Maryland will chuck threes and run with you, but I've mentioned it recently. Illinois' pace has come down a little bit. They snuck over the total, I believe, against Iowa, which was a fluke cover because the first half went under by like 11. So the second half was just crazy. But they've lost 6 of 7 to the over. So they've gone under in 6 of 7. So I'd side with the under, if anything. There's got to be an effect there of Boswell. I just don't know. I don't think the Illini are going to circle the wagons or rally the troops around fallen, guy when they're facing Maryland. Usually I like backing teams with a guy out the first game at least. It's kind of a non-factor here. It's under or nothing for me.
Under or nothing with Maryland and Illinois tonight. Also, just after 7 o'clock East in Chapel Hill, North Carolina comes home after a very unsuccessful trip through California where they lost outright to both Stanford and Cal. And now tonight, laying the number at home against the Fighting Irish. This is 13.5, 149.5 total.
UNC's fallen to 22 in the country. This is interesting because both teams are on a skid. Fighting Irish have not been so fighting. They've lost 4 straight. I would take the points here with the 13.5, but it's not my favorite bet. I wish UNC was fat and happy off a big win or something like that. So it's just not the best spot for the Irish, but I certainly wouldn't lay it. I wouldn't be looking to lay it because, UNC is going to be ready. I agree with Henry here. Tar Heels probably overrated, and they have Virginia on deck, and they're going to UVA. So, gosh, I'm ready to bet Virginia in that game. I kind of want UNC to win convincingly in this game so I can bet UVA in that game at home.
I think they will. Notre Dame stinks. I'm not going to lie to
you. They do.
Like, you watch them.
That's why it's a lean and not really a play.
They have been blasted in some of these games recently. Vatech, Miami, Clemson. I mean, they have just been taken to the woodshed. I thought that by year 2, Shrewsbury would have it going a little bit more. Not quite yet for the Irish in South Bend. Number 1, Arizona at home tonight against Cincinnati. 13.5 and 152.5. This number did kind of jump out at me, Doug, because I feel like we've done a lot of these Arizona games with it in the 17, 20, 19. Cincinnati's a 10-8 team. It seems a little light, 13.5, no?
I just think it's a sleepy spot for the Wildcats, and that's why I like Cincy first half. I think they're going to be up for the game. I'm not so sure Arizona is. They had a dogfight of a game against UCF, and they're back home, and it's not really a rivalry game that they're going to be up for. So I think it's going to be kind of ordinary, going through the motion sort of effort. And that's what has me concerned. I also like the under. I think it's just going to be one of those games that they're going to go through the motion. So I would actually look at Arizona team total. It takes a lot. You get everyone's best shot. Now, I wish Arizona had a big game on deck, like at BYU. That's 2 games away. So they have West Virginia at home. So I think this is going to be a sleepy weekend. Maybe even if Arizona rolls, I take West Virginia in the points in the next game. But I think catching 8.5 on the first half line is certainly intriguing. The problem is when you expect bad teams to do good things, that clock can't get moved fast enough, and it could be a painful watch. But that's how I would play it, because to your point, Carver, I do think it could be a light game line number. The talent just takes over at some point.
Yeah, that's what it kind of smelled when I first looked at it this morning. It was a little they definitely raised my eyebrows a little bit. SEC now, Texas and Kentucky. This game also early, just after 7 o'clock East. Kentucky minus 6.5, 152.5, SEC Network.
Well, this number's come down from 7, and I think that was a little too high, the full touchdown. So 6.5. Now, Ken Palm has this at 6. More importantly, has it 82.76, which is 158. So that's quite the difference. And I've tried to bet my opinion against Ken Palm and things like they've usually been right. So I would bet over on principle alone. I think that's interesting that's different. I don't really think that happens very often, especially when the side's the same as the actual point spread. So I think over is the only way I would look at this. But I think Kentucky's due for some regression. They've been playing great.
They have been. I like that. Maybe we tee it high and let it fly tonight in Lexington with Texas and Kentucky. Nebraska, of course, one of our few remaining unbeatens, 18-0, as they are at home tonight for the Huskies of Washington. 10.5 for Corn, 151.5 the total.
So this is a tough one because I know some sharp guys on the dog. They think Washington's getting healthier and Nebraska cannot rebound at all. And the Washington will have the bigs to limit them to one shot and things like that. I'm just going to roll with Nebraska again. I also know sharps that took +6 with Northwestern at home against Nebraska on Saturday, and that did not bode well. They lost by 19. I like this Huskers team. Other people do too. It's not like everyone thinks they're a fraud or anything silly like that. They're going to lose, and they're going to lose more than once. maybe twice both this weekend when they have to go to the Barn and then Michigan. I just don't think Washington gets them. I still think Nebraska's on the incline of their season. They're playing well, and the Huskies are a really bad three-point shooting team, like in the 300s, ranked nationally second worst in the entire Big Ten as well. I think Nebraska, much like the game against Northwestern, wins this game on the three-point line. So I don't care about rebounds that much because hopefully there won't be any. Nebraska leads the conference in three-point shooting, 39.1%. And the Huskies are good. Like, I can see this game being tied or three-point margin at half. 40 minutes. I think Nebraska can stretch this and win by 17.
There you go. Nebraska tonight looking to go to 19-0 at home against Washington. All right, let's bounce around quickly to a few other ones. A little horizon for us. Detroit taking on Purdue Fort Wayne this evening. Purdue Fort Wayne laying it on the road at Detroit, 155.5.
Yeah, surprising line. We got Gottlieb in the Phoenix tomorrow. So I like the home dog here. They played earlier in this year at Purdue for Fort Wayne, obviously, and it was a tight game, came down to the wire. I think a little revenge angle for Detroit. I got to grab the 3.5. Not my favorite play, small play, but I think that's the only way to play it.
Penny and Memphis into Tulsa tonight as they are looking at catching 5.5 here on the road, 154.5 the total here.
Yeah, weird line to me. I know sharp money on the road dog here. I expected this to be like 3.5. I get it that, you get the home team circle the spot in the calendar. You get Penny Hardaway and company, but I'm a fan of this Memphis team by all things considered. I just think it's too many points. I'd made this number lower.
Gonzaga, of course, 19-1 Gonzaga, now ranked 8th in the country. Just over 4 tutties here. 29.5 against Pepperdine, 149.5.
Yeah, I love playing the West Coast Conference. Some of these times we just grab the ugly dog, right, and take the points. I don't think so here. Pepperdine's really bad, and they're coming off a win, okay? So they just beat Portland in a dogfight of a game. Now they got to go up to the Kennel for a game, and then they also play Wazoo next. I think they get absolutely drilled. Gonzaga's second unit can run them out of the court. I think this is Zag's first half in game. I think it's just Pepperdine's just going to be one of those teams. It's a big number for 16.5 in the first half, but I just don't think Pepperdine's going to put up a fight in this game. They have not played this year yet. Oh yeah, they did. I'm sorry. And this was they lost by 40, and they lost by the first half by 18. I think we're gonna have a similar performance. I just think it's Pepperdine off a loss or off a win. I just don't think they're professionally mature enough to back it up and go play well at the Kennel. Now, you obviously always run the risk of Zags being sort of like flat, not caring, but I think their B+ effort can get this done.
Sounds like you think they could maul them tonight.
I think we got a mauling coming.
We have a maul game here, 29.5, 16.5 in the first half for the Zags. Staying in the WCC, the Beavers at St. Mary's tonight. Another heavy number, 19.5 for the Gales, 141.5.
Yeah, different angle here, but it's similar situation. I think Oregon State is in for a buzzsaw because the Gales are coming off a loss. Now, I've said in the past that sometimes these games or these dips in the peak and valley of a season come in twos, but I don't think when you play kind of a weak conference like this, I don't think it really applies here. St. Mary's lost at Santa Clara, nothing to completely sneeze at, but Oregon State's not very good. I think St. Mary's gets on track out of the gates and they light up a really bad Oregon State defense. I like the first half team total over.
Ooh.
A little bit of a unique angle. The juice is more favorable at 39.5. It's -03. You can 38.5. You pay a little juice. I think they're going to light it up. I think the offense will click. I think a team like that with that kind of structure of an offense will be buttoned up and the crisp passing. And I don't think Oregon State knows what the hell they're going to do here. So I think it's going to be a really strong offensive performance from the Gales.
Next one we both kind of had circled, Northwestern late night in LA against USC. USC -6.5, 149.5. is the total. USC 14-4, Doug. They've been a little bit better at home, obviously, than on the road, and Northwestern stinks. That's kind of where my lean is there.
They do. So Trojans have done a nice job. They've weathered the storm with some injuries, and I think it speaks volumes of what Musselman's doing and everything. But just going back to Northwestern's last game, when we speak to the line value, what would you rather lay? USC at home, which doesn't have a ton of firepower, at 6.5, or Nebraska minus 5.5 at Northwestern that no one really cares about? They're the basketball state. They're winless in the conference. They're 0-6 or whatever they were on Saturday. So that's why I just thought Nebraska had great line value. I think the market's caught up here with the Wildcats. I still lean to the Trojans, but they have a way of kind of playing down to their opponent. I wouldn't be shocked if Northwestern hangs around here. I think USC's, though, too much talent. They're going to win by 12, but it's going to be hairy. It could be 8. Could come down to a shot at the buzzer.
I am going to go with the late night Mountain West game of the night tonight, Doug. It didn't go well for me. Nice job by Pastner and UNLV last night, beating Utah State outright. Nice win for them. 975
on the money line. Almost 10-1 there.
Huge win. All right, this is my riddle me this, Doug. San Diego State is 13-4. They are 7-0 in the Mountain West. They are usually one of the class teams of this conference. Here comes a little Grand Canyon. Yes, coming off a big win against Utah State. And they were 1.5-point favorite. Now a pick'em at home against the mighty Aztecs. Riddle me this, Doug. Why is this line pick'em? Why isn't San Diego State favored?
So there's been some interesting results here. San Diego State's, I think, down a guy. That's one thing to keep in mind. But they're on a roll. They're fat and happy here. Grand Canyon should blow them out. But, I mean, they lost at the Pit. Then there was like craziness with their coach. They beat Utah State. I don't know what to make of this game. I think it's going to come down to the wire. And I mean, you're the guy with the conviction on this. You tell me.
I am just, I think San Diego State's better than them. And it makes no sense. So I'm taking Grand Canyon. How about that? Worth staying up for, Henry says. GCU minus 115 money line is my pick. They're a tournament team. Grand Canyon's been good to me in the past when they were in the WAC and they were making the tournaments. Now this is their first year in the Mountain West, and they're playing some of these little better competition, and they're hanging around.
Great budget too.
Great budget, tons of money flowing in there at Grand Canyon. And the other one that I'll give you that kind of was like, yeah, what's going on here? Arizona State's awful. They're home tonight for West Virginia, who hasn't been that bad, Doug. West Virginia's had some good wins here since the start of conference play, and they're getting 1.5 against a bad Arizona State team. I'll take Hurley. I'll take it. Let's go. Let's go with the Sun Devils.
You're a stronger man than I am, Carver. I can't get involved with this team.
Makes no
West
sense.
Virginia's nothing special, and they got Arizona on deck. So I don't think they're looking ahead. I think they're going to, it's going to be a lot of competition in this game. All players are going to compete. ASU I just think Hurley and his brother just wear the refs down, and I think they just take it out on them sometimes.
It seems like they do. It's just one of those, Doug, I play a couple that the line just doesn't make sense to me. And that's one of those ones that kind of fell in that category with Arizona State tonight. All right, good night of college hoops. And we got some good late night games that we'll be in on. Of course, if you like what you see here on Betting Weekly Live, as you should, make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. You can check us out and, of course, all of our other shows, including released earlier today, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Nigel Seeley and Sean Calvert share their best bets for more round 2 action in the men's Australian Open. Nigel and Sean have been red hot. Make sure you get involved there with them. And also in Australian Open related matters, make sure on your Bet Rivers app that you enter the bonus code BWAO, the letter O, 26 in your Bet Rivers app to get a $10 bonus bet to use on an Australian Open wager. The code again, BWAO 26. Offer expires on January 31st. Must be 21. Eligible players only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, when you log into your Bet Rivers app, you can receive a daily Australian Open profit boost to use on that day's matches. I turned it on this morning, Doug, late last night, just for a couple minutes because I wanted to see how beautiful it was in Australia and how it's so cold here. So I did. It's just like the same thing when I put the Hawaii on at the golf on Sunday. I wanted to just see how much nicer it was everywhere except where I am, where it's miserable and 5 degrees and there's snow on the ground. So that's
at least the Bills are on a roll, so you're fine.
Oh, yeah. They're on a roll, all right. They lead the league in great press conferences after today. Great postseason press conferences. They're right at the top. How about some hockey? Always late, but thank you. I had Arkansas last night, Steve. There you go. You had a little Razorback fun for us. That was a smash job, too. Hockey, 6 games tonight, including the TNT doubleheader. Red Wings at the Maple Leafs here this evening, Doug. Red Wings even money, Toronto minus 125. Total is 6.5. The only thing here for me, I just think Detroit's a lot better than Toronto. I just really do. I think they're a much better team, and you're getting them even money. I mean, it is a little fit. Why Toronto's favorite? They've played better though, Toronto, over the past couple of weeks. But it would probably be Detroit or nothing for me in this. I don't love it, Doug, but that would be all that I would be in on.
Tell you much about those games. We should have put the Lightning in every parlay yesterday. That was we almost nailed the final score there, 4-1.
4-1, well under. Sabres got it done in Nashville last night as well. A little Sabres last night. Kings team total got home over the 3.5 as they scored 4 goals against the Rangers. So not a bad night in the hockey. Islanders at the Kraken. Remember the last time these two played, Doug? You were watching it intently. That was that scoreless game that went to a shootout, right? When the Kraken were on the island on that second leg of a back-to-back. And the Islanders are road favorites here. Total 5.5. This game's on. How about the Islanders on TNT tonight? Let's see what happens when you play well, Doug. You throw you on.
It was an NFL Sunday, and I'm sitting there staring at my iPad with a shootout and overtime, 3-on-3, and then everyone's watching NFL. I would under or nothing for me.
It feels undery. I don't. This is the also last game of a 7-game road trip for the Islanders. They've been out west for a while. They're finally going home after tonight. Kind of similar, Doug, flipping it with San Jose going east to west. Islanders are going to go west to east and go home after this game. And they've had a good road trip, too, to finish off. I like your thinking with the under. I think it's under enough, and I hate playing those 5.5s to the under, but it's probably the way to go. Elsewhere, Washington and Vancouver late night. Vancouver, Doug, has lost 11 in a row. And they have not covered the puck line in 7 of those. So 7 of those 11 losses, they've lost by 2 or more goals. Caps on the puck line plus $1.55 tonight in Vancouver. Why not?
Yeah, I want no part of the Canucks, apparently. But don't we always bet overs in their games?
You know what we've been doing is I flipped and did that team total when the Islanders played them the other night. I played the Islander team total because the Canucks weren't scoring. Now, that was 4-3. Right. They did get over with the Islanders the other night. It is a flat 6. I wouldn't have a problem if we wanted to go there either tonight. Penguins, total. Yeah, total over 6. I am going to play the Caps on the puck line, though, because there it is. Plus 155. Canucks have just been so awful. I'm going to go after them again here. Penguins are a road favorite in Calgary, minus $1.20. Don't hate it. And other than that, I mean, Philly's in Utah, but it's not one of these back-to-back spots. Anaheim, Colorado. Man, that's some heavy lumber. That looks like that Lightning game last night, Doug. Look at that. 360 for the Avalanche tonight. Whew.
Probably not going to get rich laying 360 a lot in NHL.
That is a big number. That over 6.5 might get there. Man, even the over 6.5, Doug, is minus 134. Wow. Utah puck line over the Flyers backup goalie. All right, Thomas Tyler wants to get in on the Utah puck line, plus $1.40. Philly did beat the Knights the other night in Vegas. So that was a nice win for Philly to end their big losing streak. See if they fall back. I will not be anywhere near Utah and the Flyers this evening. So 6 games in hockey for us tonight, Doug. A little golf for you here. It is Wednesday, so we give you a couple golf picks before we get to the best bets and the daily double. The American Express tees off tomorrow. This is a tough one, Doug, because this is the tournament where they play at 3 separate courses over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Nicklaus, the Pete Dye Stadium, the La Quinta, and then there's a cut after the 3rd round and then they play Sunday at the Stadium course. So it is a little tricky, and you do have Scheffler playing, who's just an ungodly plus 300 to win. But I am going to go after him with a couple of guys. I like Ben Griffin as more of the chalkier side play. Enhanced offering plus 22 to 1 for Ben Griffin in this. He won 3 times on the PGA Tour last year. He's not going to be scared of Scotty if he's in the fight with him at the end. He's been very good on some of these courses. So I do like Ben Griffin. Patrick Cantlay loves this place. He's got 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s in the last 7 years, 28 to 1 with the enhanced offering there with Cantlay. I usually don't like betting Cantlay. This is the only place I think I bet Patrick Cantlay is at the American Express. And I'll give you one bomb. Patrick Rogers, Mr. Rogers, 95 to 1 with the enhanced offering, played very well in Hawaii last week. Really like the way he played in the fall season as well. Looks like a guy who's trending up a little bit. He can play well in a birdie fest like this usually is. Winners usually around 25 to 30 under. So I'm going to take a little bomb. They've had a lot of bombs win this, Doug, the American Express. So I think you got to have a bomb in there.
Well, and you had one last week, so stay with the bombs.
Let's go, baby. Let's get involved. All right, the best bets and the daily double for tonight. Max is going to be mad at me because I never got mine in this evening, but I am going to do it now. I am going to USC tonight, Doug. Minus the 6 against Northwestern. Late night hoops for me for the best bet. 6.5, I should say. I just think Northwestern stinks. They're out on the West Coast. USC been much better at home than on the road. I will lay the 6.5 here for my best bet.
Like it. Obviously, touched on it earlier. I have not gone to a first half team total for college before, but we're going to do that today. St. Mary's first half over the 39.5. We'll get the better juice. Minus 03, I believe. I just think the Gales off a loss. Going to pummel Oregon State defensively. Oregon State's pretty weak defensively, so I think we're good here. St. Mary's, look, they're not dominant offense like we see with some teams, but I just think they're that much better than Oregon State. I'm not impressed with the Beavs. I think they'll get torched defensively, and I think you're going to get a lot of, attention to detail, really buttoned up effort out of the Gales.
So we're going double college hoops again tonight for the daily double. We have USC minus the 6.5 and the St. Mary's first half team total over 39.5 plus 272 to get us going here on a Wednesday night with the daily double. I feel like I'm owed one after last night with Kent State. So I'm feeling very good with USC here. Let's make it happen. Get us on the run with plus 272. All right, Doug. Tremendous job, as always. We are back tomorrow, of course, Betting Weekly Live. Betting Weekly Studio is part of the Bet Rivers Network, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific. Get you ready for all the night's games. Once again, college hoops, NHL, NBA, and we're still getting ready for the football coming up this weekend. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Live. Have a great night, and we will see you back here tomorrow.